So, is Etsy dropshipping right for you? There's a few things that you have to consider. There's a few reasons to go down the Etsy path and start selling, and there's a few reasons not to, and why you should pick Shopify or another sort of e-commerce platform. So first we'll go over the pros of Etsy. So firstly, it's quick, it's easy, and it's cost effective. It's easy to set up, it's got an established audience, and rather than build your own website or hire somebody to build your own website, it's just set up, create listings, and you're ready to go relatively quickly. You can start on Etsy right now in about 15 to 20 minutes. Setting up on Etsy does not take long at all. You don't have to set up a domain like you do with Shopify. You don't have to design your own store or anything like that. You start on Etsy, you register, sign up with an email address, and you can get your listing set up and live in about 15-20 minutes. So that's pro number one. Hey folks, Ty here. If you're new to the channel, we talk about Etsy, we talk about e-commerce, investing, all that good stuff. So if that's what you're into, do hit a like and subscribe to the channel. Let's get on to pro number two. Pro number two, I kind of touched on it in that pro number one, was that Etsy has an established audience. It is a marketplace, it does its own advertising, it has its own search engine optimization already. You can't really look for any sort of product or item on Google without getting an Etsy suggestion. So they cover all that for you. It has an established audience and it has visitors, customers going to that website. That's basically free traffic for you. It's already got that established setting, already got that audience going to the platform, being driven. It's got the traffic being driven to that platform already. You just need to make use of it. Number three is that Etsy is a good testing ground. Now, no one's saying that you have to sign up to Etsy and basically solely use that platform. You can just use it to test the waters, test proof of concept, see if you've got an audience and a target market for that product and go from there. What a lot of people do, including myself, is test products on Etsy and then move them to their own Shopify store. It's a good way to kind of test without paying for Facebook ads. There's no ad testing or anything like that. Etsy is a free to use marketplace. Yes, there's listing fees, yes, there's transaction fees, but you're not paying anything to list. Well, I guess you're paying the listing fee, but you're not paying anything to sign up to the platform to start listing your items. So it is definitely worth using if you want to test the waters, test the product, test the concept, test the niche. If you just want to dip your toe in without fully committing, Etsy is the place to go. Now, when deciding if Etsy is going to be the marketplace for you, whether it's what you want, you need to first decide, what is it that I want to get from this? Is it just passive income? Is it something that you want to sign up, list some items and have minimum maintenance? Or are you wanting to start a business? Are you wanting to go full on start a brand? If it's the latter and you want to start a brand, then Etsy probably isn't the one for you. You probably want to go down your own store route and start white labeling and start branding your items and go down that route. However, you can still use Etsy, like I just said, to test the waters, test the product, test the market, and then move on to that. Don't think that if you're starting on Etsy that there's no chance that you're going to start your own brand, because you can move on to that in the future. One of the cons with Etsy is that the competition. There is competition on Etsy, and I talk about this in one of my most recent Etsy videos, where basically it's very easy for people to duplicate what you're doing. If it's doing well on Etsy, it's very easy for somebody to see that on the search engine optimization, look at the keywords you're using, see what kind of pictures you're using, and duplicate that process. If it's not a handmade item, if it's not a specialized item, let's say it's print on demand, for example, it's very easy to copy that and to make it better and improve it. So with Etsy, you have to stay on top of it. You have to keep updated with the trends, and you have to not do a blockbuster and basically become outdated. Because if you do that, then you'll just lose out to the competition. The reason there's so much competition on Etsy goes back to basically pro number one, how it's so easy and cost effective to set up. It's because there's no barriers to entry, nothing's stopping you from setting up. Whereas Shopify, you have a subscription fee, you have to set up your own store, you have to write the policy pages, you have to get a web designer if you don't know how to do it yourself. Those are barriers. Etsy doesn't have any of that, so there's no barriers to entry, meaning more competition. Another con of Etsy, which nobody seems to really talk about, is that there's a lack of customer loyalty. Again, when comparing it to your own brand or to your own website, you can build that customer brand recognition, build that loyalty, and basically have that rapport with your target audience. especially if you're doing social media marketing such as Instagram, TikTok. You can have that rapport with your audience and with your target market, whereas you can't really have that on Etsy. You can't really build up that customer loyalty. It's basically a marketplace in itself, so people go on, find the products, and they're not loyal to you. They're not holding anything to you. There's nothing that's saying to them, I must buy from this person because I believe in their business, I believe in the mission, I believe in their brand. Because you're not a brand, you're just a seller on Etsy. Whereas with Shopify or whichever platform that you decide to build your website on, if you build brand, then you can build that brand loyalty up and then have that rapport with the customers and have that and carry it forward. On the back of those points, another thing to consider whether Etsy is for you is whether your end goal is to scale. Is it to scale the business? Do you want scalability to be involved? Do you want to be able to put more hours in it later down the line? At the moment, are you doing it passively as a part-time and you want to be able to do it as your full-time job? If so, that's the full-on business route. That's you're creating the business, you're white labeling, and you're going to that creating the brand route, where Etsy is basically your starting point. If you don't want to use Etsy as your dipping the toe in the waters, if you know exactly what you want to do, then it's going straight to the business, straight to Shopify, straight to creating that brand. You don't need to use Shopify if you're confident in getting to that step. The last thing to consider on whether Etsy is the right platform for you, is the right marketplace for you, depends on the kind of products that you want to sell, depends on the niche that you want to get into, because Etsy does have some strict guidelines. If you want to do mass manufactured products, for example, those that are coming from AliExpress, gadgets, tools, things like that, then Etsy isn't going to be for you because of the guidelines and the strict rules that they have against mass manufactured items and drop shipping. So that's not going to be the route to go down. If you're hand making items, making them by hand, designing them yourself, then perhaps Etsy is for you depending on the items. For example, if you're into clothing, then something like Vinted might be better. If you're into print on demand and designing, then something like Redbubble or Teespring, and then connecting or using something like Printify or Printful and connecting that to your own branded store from Shopify might be a better option. But it entirely depends on what kind of products that you want to sell, what kind of niche do you want to get into. If it's something that you're doing passively, just making personalized picture frames here and there, or personalized digital art just as and when you're getting orders, then Etsy's perfect for that sort of thing. If it's something that, like I said, mass manufactured, something that you want to scale, grow, you want to sell hundreds and thousands of units, Etsy isn't going to be the one for you because it doesn't really support scalability that way, not like Shopify. So folks, that's all for me. Thanks ever so much for watching. I do apologize for the setting and if there's any sound effects in the background, just because I've recently moved house and my office has been torn to shreds. So this is my new setting for the time being until I get the new office set up. But again, thanks ever so much for watching. If you've got any questions, drop them down below. If you want to hear more about Etsy or Shopify, or is Etsy right for you, check out my Etsy versus Shopify video, which I'll put a link to somewhere up here. But yeah, thanks ever so much, and I'll see you in the next one.